is happening, people? It is Brian Alsruhe with NeverSay.com, and before I get into today's video, I just want to say thank you to every single person who took part in this weekend seminar at Never Say It Athletics. It was an absolute awesome time. If you guys do not know what's going on, I've started doing very small, intimate seminars with nothing more than 5 athletes. That's where I cap it. This one in particular had 4 coaches for 5 different athletes. The seminar is 5 hours long and we cover a lot. I can just about guarantee every single person who walked out of there. We did a breathing and bracing workshop, so every single person should have a much better idea of how to breathe and brace. So theoretically, that should make all their lifts go up. I think every single person there hit a squat PR. They put it all into practice with different strongman movements that they learned, and then we did a full-blown workout where everyone got smoked. It was just a really, really cool time. It was a really excellent time with excellent people who were just nice and considerate and cheered each other on. It was a pleasure. So I just want to say thank you to each and every single person who made that entire thing possible. We do have another one going on in February 1st. That one is currently sold out, but hopefully fairly soon I will be putting out the details for whenever the next one is going to be. If you guys are interested, we had people fly in. It was an awesome time, so just thanks. Now, the reason why today's video exists at all is because at the end of all of my seminars, or any time that I do a public appearance, I always try to give a Q&A at the end just to make sure that if I did not cover something, that people walk away from that interaction with the answers that they were looking for. So literally, at virtually every single Q&A that I've ever done, people always ask me about time management. Everyone knows that I'm a busy guy. I have a couple different jobs with the online stuff, owning a gym, doing the YouTube channel. There's a lot that I fit into a day, and people want to know how I manage out my time so I'm able to get so much done. So I figured, since it always comes up, even though it is not directly lifting related, it will correlate to virtually every part of your life, to include the lifting stuff. So I thought I would just give you guys 5 time management strategies that I currently use that have made just a massive difference in my life. And yes, these are things that I actually use. This isn't like I was like, oh, I'm going to tell people how to live their lives. This is stuff that has helped me, so hopefully it will help you. One thing that I do need to throw in here is that I have already done a video on time, and more specifically about people who say they don't have enough time to get to the gym or take their workout seriously or do their diet or whatever the case would be. And it's one of my most proud videos. I did this thing with pennies. It's pretty creative. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, I would really, really much appreciate that. I would leave that link in the description box down below, also with the timestamps to this video. So if you guys don't want to listen to me just continually talk, you can jump to where you want to be. But please, after this video is over, go check out that video. It's also going to be on the end screen. Thank you. Okay, so all of that said, the very first time management strategy that I want to share with you guys is one that I heard on the Tim Ferriss show when I was on my way to my hyperbaric treatments back when I was more sick during the summer. So I can't remember the guest, but the guest said, one thing that has drastically changed my life is that if something that I need to do takes less than 2 minutes, I do it immediately. So basically, if you're anything like me, when you get home from work or a hard day of whatever it is that you're doing, when you walk through the door, you like drop your sweatshirt, you drop your bag, a protein shaker goes flying somewhere, there's water bottle, like you just kind of have a wake of destruction behind you, because honestly, it doesn't really matter to you at that time. You have accomplished your initial objective, your priority's done, now you're in a safe spot and you just want to relax, so you just chuck everything. But essentially what that did, and this is why it was so astounding of a change for me, is everything that just took less than 2 minutes. So if it meant hanging up my clothes when they got done out of laundry, if it meant doing some dishes that were sitting in the sink, if it meant just picking up a area that I'm going to be spending time in, just doing little things like that actually really, really helped declutter my life. And it didn't only declutter my life in the sense of physically, but also in my mind. I realized that subconsciously or consciously, when I looked around my house or my area where I was working or whatever the case would be, and I saw a mess, it felt messy. It was like, okay, I'm going to have to deal with that, but I don't feel like dealing with that right now because I do not have the energy or the effort. Now, in reality, when you just break it down to taking 2 minutes out of your life to just go get that done, then it exponentially just clears out a lot of the clutter, again, physically, but also mentally. So then you don't think about that, which allows more clarity for whatever you are focused on at the time. I cannot tell you the difference this has made in my life. Guys, just taking 2 minutes out of your day to do very simple little things will just help organize and clarify and just simplify a lot of stuff, not only physically, but also inside your mind, which is gonna help you out in everywhere in your life. If you have been on the earth long enough, you probably figured out that oftentimes it's just about starting. It's not really about being great. It's about showing up consistently and just getting it started, because once things start, you can keep going. That leads me directly into my second point, which is if it only takes 2 minutes, you can get something done, that starts you doing tasks, all right? There is a great video on the internet by an admiral. If you just search like Navy SEAL Admiral commencement speech, it'll definitely pop up. But this guy basically starts his speech giving it to these young people getting ready to set on their lives. And he's like, this is how you lead a great life. The first thing you want to do is make your bed. So the point wasn't about having a neat bedroom. The point was about just waking up and accomplish something small. If you accomplish something small, it's easier to accomplish another thing. If you make your bed, then you walk out in the kitchen and there's some dishes in the sink. You're like, well, I already did one thing, I can do another thing. Then you move into your living room, there's something that needs to be done. It just gets you going, right? And that's completely what that admiral is talking about, is just starting one thing. If you can do one thing, you can do two things. I don't really watch superhero movies, but I remember flipping through channels and I caught a second of one, right? And one superhero was afraid to go in and save some people. And I think Batman turned to him and was like, just save one, dude. Just help us save one. And so the guy went and saved one and came back and realized, like, it wasn't that bad. I can do more. I can do more. And oftentimes with our lives, the things that pile up upon us just seem overwhelming, and we build them into things that they're absolutely not. And 99% of the time when you're worried about something, it is never as bad as you built it up to be in your mind. So oftentimes with these tasks, if you just start, then you can get through a lot. But a great tool that I've been able to implement when it comes to these things are lists. Now, I know a lot of people will take their phone and they'll have a app, whatever the case may be. If you want to use a phone and have the latest digital list or productivity app, then feel free if that works for you. For me personally, I'm old school. I like to take a piece of paper and actually physically write things down and cross them off. For whatever reason, crossing things off a list makes me feel very, very good. But the thing is if you set up a list at the beginning of the day for what you need to get done, or even maybe the night before, which could help you sleep better because it takes things off your mind. But if you made a list of things that you need to get done the next day, then you have like an objectives, right? So typically if you have 10, 15 minutes empty space where you don't have anything else to do, then you end up playing games on your phone or checking Instagram for the 8th time that hour, or whatever the case may be. You end up wasting that time. You're not really using it in a productive manner. However, if you have a list, you can quickly look down your list and be like, well, I needed to run and buy some vegetables from the grocery store, and that's 5 minutes that way. You go get that done, you're back, and before you know it, if you just start checking things off your list, number one, you feel good because you're actually seeing physical progress of getting things done, which is amazingly satisfying. And number two, then you have an organized way of how to attack the things that pretty much are stressing you out. If you don't, then they kind of run around like crazy in your head and they will not stop until you either get them done or literally you forget about them and then they pop up later and it's a bigger problem than it was before. So make your bed and make a list of tasks and then start checking them off, and you'll be amazed at what that will do for your productivity as well as your motivation and just satisfaction with what you're getting done. The third massively important thing for me when it comes to time management is actually being present where I am. When I'm hanging out with my wife, I am not thinking about being at the gym. When I am at the gym, I am not thinking about my wife. I do my best to be exactly where I am at that given moment, especially to the extent of like cell phones at dinner or when I'm talking to a friend. Like, I never pick up my cell phone because I want them to know that I actually care about where this conversation, being here with them. Now, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people believe that they are being present, but I also know that there's a lot of people that think they're pretty good at multitasking as well. And as studies have shown, no one is. Your brain is incapable of paying really, really great attention to this thing and that thing if they are two separate of things. Just try holding two separate conversations about two separate topics with two separate people and you will quickly see how badly that goes. However, that's exactly what you're doing when you're texting, or when you're texting and driving, or when you're sitting at a dinner table and you are listening to someone else's conversation. You are not present where you need to be. And not being present, much like multitasking, leads to bad performance. And if you do bad performances, typically there is other stuff that needs to be remediated there that you need to go back and do again or completely do over. So I would highly encourage that if you're doing the dishes, absolutely 100% do the dishes. If you are talking to your significant other, be there 100%. When you are with your boss, I bet if your boss calls you into his office for some private meeting, I bet you don't pull out your phone in the middle of it and go, yeah, But oftentimes we'll do that with our friends or our family or just someone that we're supposed to be present with. And not only is it hugely disrespectful, but number one, you are not helping the person on the phone and you are not helping that person in person. You are just kind of splitting your time and you're going to have to come back to it again. So if you truly want to save time, Do the thing that you are supposed to do as best of your abilities until it is done, and then move on to the next thing. Then do that to the best of your ability until it is done, and then move on to the next thing. Don't always be tossing things around. Maybe you are a person who can pull this off. I am not. And the fourth thing that I think you should do if you're interested in time management, and it's a hard one, is learn to say no. Now, learning to say no is a skill that everyone needs to get used to doing as they get older, because if you like to have friends and you like to have family and you like to please them and make them happy, then a lot of things will often get asked of you. But as you get older, you get more and more responsibilities and your priorities tend to change, and then it becomes a problem because you start doing things out of obligation. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying blow off grandma when she needs her medication picked up. But what I am saying is when that annoying guy Bobby at work asks you to move for like the 12th time, and you hem and haw, and eventually you agree because you feel obligated, or he kind of backed you in that decision, I just want you to realize that everything ends up costing something, right? So if you do go help your buddy Bobby help move his couch or whatever, the energy that you expend there, both physically, mentally, emotionally, everything, is something that's going to take away from other areas in your life. And as you get older, if you have a wife, a kid, a significant other, an important job, a passion, then literally Bobby is taking away from that. And I'm not saying that it's not important to have friends and help them and do things, but if you find yourself not being able to put good effort, or you find yourself tired and exhausted with your family because you're spending too much time doing stupid stuff like helping Bobby stick a transmission in his truck, then maybe you should kind of address where your priorities are. That said, there are a ton of people in the world that can balance that perfectly fine. I just am not one of them. But all that I'm saying is that you find yourself in a situation where you feel obligated to do something, then it just might be worth taking a second thought and really thinking about what this is going to cost you. If you go do this thing, it's going to take away from something else. And is that something else more important to your priorities, to your goal, to your family, to your life, to your happiness, than helping out Bobby? Your call. All right, and the fifth and final thing I'm going to talk to you guys about today when it comes to time management, and this is definitely the hardest of all, and that is to cut toxic people out of your life, no matter how close they are to you. And I'm not saying that you need to be a loner. I'm saying that oftentimes each of us has someone in our life, typically that person's been in our life for a long amount of time, and you find that that person just takes and takes and takes. They're like a vampire. They either take physically, emotionally, financially, whatever the case may be. It just seems like whenever you're with that person, you walk away feeling like they literally sucked life out of you, like it was no good. They were super negative, they were whatever. And that's just how all your interactions always seem to go. And it's been like that, and it doesn't show any signs of changing. If a person like that is in your life, I'm not saying that you need to cut them out forever. I'm saying like you might want to kind of just distance yourself, because 100% you are the people that you are around. So if you are hanging out with a bunch of negative people, you are being more negative than you truly think you are. You need to surround yourself with people who are going to build you up. And when you say that you have a dream or an aspiration, they are doing things to help move you towards that, not tear you down and pull you away from that. A very good business saying applies to this personal situation pretty well. And that is that 10% of people take up 90% of like your time and your effort. If you're in the service industry, literally, you have 90% of people that are awesome to work with, and you have 10% that absolutely suck, and they take up 90% of your time. And most people in their real world, if you audit the number of problems you have or the drama you have in your life, I can just about guarantee that it will file down to just a couple common denominators. Now, if you are that person, then it's time to get your act together. However, if that person is in your life, then it might be time not really to cut them off because maybe they need you on a certain level, but maybe just distance yourself to the point that you don't allow them to take so much. Kind of going back to number 4, where you have to say no a little bit more. And it's a tough situation, because I personally have someone super close to me, like a family member super, super close to me, who I needed to cut out of my life because of some decisions that were being made. And until those decisions change, I refuse to have them as part of my life. And it hurts me every single day. However, I know for their benefit as well as my benefit, we don't get along like that. Like, it's not a good thing until there's some changes made. So, guys, these are some very, very hard things to do, but they are things that I personally put in my life that allows me to get the things done that I want to get done. Now, one caveat that I will say to this entire thing, which is something I also said to my seminar people when they asked this question this weekend, was that for a lot of time, especially since I've been sick for pretty much the last 3 years, being sick and then the business stuff has taken up 100% of my time. It's literally been running me at capacity 16, 17 hours a day, every single day. I sleep 3 to 4 hours a night. That's it. It's not healthy. It's not good, but that's what I was doing. And I neglected a lot of my friends, a lot of my family, a lot of the priorities of my life, my lifting. There were a lot of things that went on the side burner. And now that I'm on the other side of this and see it, I'm just trying my best to apologize to those people and try to see them as much as possible and just make up for that lost time. So if you guys are trying to stick a bunch of things in your schedule, just remember your priorities. And because at the end of the day, think about who's going to be your funeral. Think about who really truly loves you when you're no longer popular online, or you're not strong, or you're not rich, or you're not whatever it is. And that's where your priorities need to lie. So just keep that in mind, so you don't just turn into me and just try to be a machine of just productivity and get things done and get things done, get things done. But at the same time, if you are having some problems with procrastination or being a little bit lazy or just not up to the productivity that you would like, then I'm dead serious. Applying these 5 things will help you. It's helped me so much. So guys, I know this was not about lifting. I appreciate the patience and just the openness to explore different topics, but hopefully there are a lot of you out there who want to know about this, because honestly, it pops up either in my email, and every single Q&A I ever do, people ask. So if you guys want to know, if you guys have other questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. I love doing these little talking things, just kind of side videos away from the lifting. So if there's stuff that you guys want to know about, please let me know and I will try to cover it. I do thank you so much for absolutely everything. Guys, I've been really, really ill. I'm going to do a health update soon. Took a turn for the worse. It's been bad. So that's why I'm only putting out 1 video a week right now. That literally is everything that I pretty much have, along with doing other things like seminars and stuff. So they're coming back. Hopefully I will see you guys again before the end of the week. Those are my intentions and my plans. I thank you guys for everything. Go out to something amazing with us. Keep working hard, people. Be nice to each other. I'll see you then.